What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the Lock and Cash podcast. It's Tuesday, April 14th, and we're here to talk NBA play-in tournament and even a little bit NBA playoff first round matchups. Um, Excited to be back. The last episode I did was for the national championship game in college basketball last week, which we missed on with Michigan. I lost last play. I hate losing the last play to end a season, but it is what it is. Stumbled a little bit there at the end, did hit our 2 unit play in the final four, ended up around plus 23 units for the year. It was a very successful college basketball season, and I appreciate all of you that joined me for it. If you got any tips or insight out of it, if you caught some free winners, that's great. Now we turn our attention to the NBA playoffs. We're doing MLB in the background. I will have baseball stuff coming for you guys soon. I'm basically focused on props a lot this year, as I haven't had much success the last couple of years betting sides in MLB. So props have been great. We're going to keep doing that. For the play-in tonight, though, I want to go over some trends, give you guys some trends, the way that these games typically go, how you can attack them. I'll sprinkle in a couple of my plays that I have. So far, I've released 8 plays for the NBA playoffs in total for the play-ins and including the first round as well. So there's a couple sides that I like. There's a couple of trends that I'm looking to follow throughout these playoffs. And we'll talk a little bit about matchups here. I don't get too crazy in the weeds because remember, I'm from this betting perspective, so I'm 90-ish percent focused on price and line movement and stuff like that. But the 10% is other stuff like situational trends and matchups. So we'll get into that stuff as well. Let's start it off with, I'll mention, of course, as always, to get my free plays, you get notifications when I drop free plays, the Action app. That's where you can follow me. That link is down in the description. Also, I have an NBA playoff pass, which is discounted down there as well. So if you're interested in getting full access like to our VIP with all of our other subscribers, check that out below. But let's start with Hornets Heat. You got a spread here of -5.5 for Charlotte. Obviously, here, two teams that look very different. They're both in the play-in, but the Hornets, once they got healthy, especially post All-Star break, have been one of the best teams in the NBA. Post All-Star break, they've actually been the number 2, I believe, second or first offense in the NBA in terms of offensive rating. So this team can score. They can put up lots of points. The last time they played each other was a 30-point win for Charlotte at home. Now, that was a game where the Heat kind of mailed it in at the end, and they just were never in it. But you're talking about a team like Charlotte that can put up a lot of points. Defensively, they're good. I would say Miami's a little bit better defensively. One thing that's hard to ignore in this game is the coaching edge with Spoelstra on the other side. So my biggest interest tonight, just from a matchup perspective, is seeing what does Spoelstra have for that Charlotte offense defensively. And one of the reasons now, every year we have some of these teams that get hot in all sports. They get red hot and they go into the playoffs on a streak. It's in my experience, just anecdotally, it's been really hard to maintain that into the playoffs because the playoffs are just a different atmosphere. Everything is different. So Charlotte kind of wants to play that run and gun style of offense. They want to play quick. They want to get up a lot of threes. That's not conducive to winning in the playoffs. So right off the bat, I'm initially looking at Miami. I lean Miami getting the 5.5 points. I also like the fact that they have Spoelstra on their side. They've got capable guys. I mean, Hero's going to be back and healthy for this game. You've got Bam. Powell's a great scorer. You've got guys that can put up points and hang with Charlotte. It's going to be, can you stop them? And I really think, you go look at the last game that the Hornets played against the Celtics, where they were in Boston, and that was a game where neither team rested. Both teams were trying. I think the Celtics were like a 5-point favorite at home, and they ended up running away with them late. And they made one key change in the fourth quarter. They started harassing Melo a lot more than they did early in the game, and you just saw the Charlotte offense crumble. And that is, if I know sport, I mean, I've been watching NBA for my entire life, and it's not my favorite sport to bet, but I've betted a ton. And if I know one thing about Spoelstra, I feel like he's gonna see that game. They're gonna go over that tape, and he's gonna do something similar in this game. So I wouldn't be surprised at all if, like, maybe Miami's trailing, maybe Charlotte is finding its groove offensive, and then late in the game, they bust it out. 'Cause that's what Boston did. And as soon as they started blitzing LaMelo around the screens, taking away the three, going over the screen, the whole or getting the ball out of his hand, essentially, the whole thing fell apart. So I think he's just such a key cog for the Hornets. He has to play well. They're not a team that I think can overcome him playing poorly. So I think Spoelstra will have something for them defensively. I lean Miami getting the 5.5 points in this game. The trend that I'll start you off with here for all playing games, we've only had 30 of them so far. Remember, this is relatively new that the NBA instituted this. The under is 63%, 19 and 11 to the under, but also first half unders. First half unders are 21 and 9 in these playoff games. Teams tend to come out a little bit tight, a little bit flat. Your season's on the line. It's a must win game. And then the offenses open up a little bit in the second half. And then also in the second half, you have some chasing late. If a team is down, they start fouling, all that stuff. So first half unders are 70% in the play in games, 21-9. Dogs catching a few points, or sorry, dogs catching more than one possession. So 3.5 or more. They've gone 11-6. That's 65%. Small sample size, obviously, but it's there for Miami in this one. Same thing for the late game with Portland. But yeah, I lean Heat in this game to get us started. And I think just for all the playing games, I'm probably gonna be sprinkling unders and first half unders all over the place. For the second game, you've got Portland taking on Phoenix with a spread of 3.5. This line came down. It was Phoenix minus 4.5. I kind of initially leaned Blazers. Kind of wish I played it, to be honest, because I'm liking it more and more as we get closer. But I don't love to just suddenly late in the day ad plays into my card and stuff like that. Because I bet early and I just keep it and then I just shut it down. I'm like, all right, I'm not looking at anything else because otherwise then you start chasing, you get into your own head. So anyway, I kind of wish I bet the Blazers, but I didn't. I would an outright win by Portland wouldn't surprise me at all in this game. I don't love the way I know they're kind of built for the playoffs. They're a slower paced team, good defensively. I think Portland's just feisty. They got good guard play, which I like. They got shot makers. I could see them giving some trouble to Phoenix tonight. So I think a little bit of a dangerous game for the Suns. But again, first half under, full game under. I'm probably going to be sprinkling both of those. A prop that I do like in this game, someone that I would target is Dylan Brooks. I looked at his line at 19.5 points. I think it's 18.5 everywhere now. So I don't want to tell you to run and bet it and give you a bad line, but I did play Dylan Brooks under 19.5 points. If you want to sprinkle it, maybe less at the 18.5 price, or if you can get 19.5 at anything better than like minus 135, I don't think you can, but around there. But I do think Brooks will have a hard time in this particular matchup. So, and the shot volume just hasn't been there for him as of late, like it was earlier in the season. So that's a prop I like in that game. I basically lean both dogs tonight. Tomorrow's games, you've got Orlando, Philly, which obviously the Sixers will be without Joel Embiid. That's going to be huge. But one thing that I've always kind of like a mantra in the NBA is like that superstar when they go out, the line shift is usually too much, and I think that's the case in this game. So I grabbed an early line, which is not available anymore on the Sixers. But I make this game 3.5. So even at the current price of 2, I still see some value on Philadelphia. I just think this always happens. You always have a big, a couple years ago when I forget who they were playing, but the Sixers went into a game where Embiid was out for game one, and they were like a 10-point dog, and they won the game outright. This stuff happens all the time, where such an overreaction when the superstar goes down. I think that's the case in this game. I think as we get to tomorrow, and I remember this game's on Wednesday night. As we get closer, you're going to see that line, I think, tick up a little bit more. It was minus 1, 1.5. Now it's minus 2. I wouldn't be surprised if we got to 3. I'm projecting 3.5 for the Sixers in this game, so I like Philly in that one. The late game, to be honest, I have nothing on Golden State, LA, but I will say I'll probably again end up sprinkling those unders that I told you guys about. First half under, full game under, 70% and 63% so far in the playing games. Now, I did want to just briefly talk about the first round matchups. We don't have all of them set, obviously. You see, I'm wearing the Knicks hat. Let's start with my Knicks. Knicks taking on the Hawks in the 3-6 in the East. I kind of wish we got the Raptors. Just from a fan perspective, I think the Raptors would have been an easier test for the Knicks. The Hawks can do some things to bother them. Obviously, Jalen Johnson has emerged now potentially as an all-star, like a number one option / all-star. So that's going to be something you have to deal with. Now, the Knicks have good wing defenders to deal with the good wings that the Hawks have, right? So, like on paper, you're like, all right, it shouldn't be a problem. You got Anunoby, you got Bridges. But for some reason, the Knicks have struggled defending the perimeter this season. I mean, they have a lot of opponents to shoot well from 3, to get clean looks from 3. And late in the season, earlier Mike Brown had said that he wants the Knicks to get up 43s a game. Late in the season, their 3-point attempt rate has kind of sunk a little bit. It's kind of cratered. So, and the Hawks are shooting threes at they're top 5 in the league shooting threes, and they've been shooting them well. So to me, this is a series that I look at right off the bat. Yes, the Knicks should win it. They've got more talent, maybe 6 games, whatever. But the one thing that would concern me, the way the Hawks could steal a couple of games in this series and get it really tight, maybe even push it to 7, is at the 3-point line. If they play the volume game and get up a lot more threes and make a lot more threes than the Knicks, I feel like that's, in the NBA, the 3 is obviously huge now, but I feel like in this series in particular, that is where it could be decided. The Knicks got to find a way to run these guys off the 3-point line, force their younger, less experienced players to go off the dribble and make decisions with the ball in their hands, right? Versus just catching and shooting. That's what you want to avoid. When you have a young team on the other side, force them to put the ball on the ground and then make a decision because they will often make bad turnovers, poor passes, bad shots, contested shots. That's what you want if you're the Knicks. So we're going to see if they're able to make it happen. The opener was Knicks minus 4.5, and I thought that was short. I played it. We're now seeing 5 to 5.5 everywhere. Remember, this is on Saturday, so we've got a lot of money still has not come in yet. But I played Knicks minus 4.5. I wouldn't be surprised if you get to 6 in this game, is what I'll say. Um, the other matchup in the East with Cleveland and Toronto, I'll give you a couple of cool stats, which I think basically sum this series up, like for me at least, sum the series up pretty well. One of the things that I was thinking about the other day is how tanking will affect the NBA playoffs because it really does feel like we're in the golden age of tanking. Like, you have not seen teams tank so hard and so obviously try to lose games as we're seeing right now. So it got me thinking, like, there's gonna be some teams that get into the playoffs now and maybe the next few years that probably are way worse than we think, or maybe not even a playoff team, but they're in because they fed on tanking teams all season. I think that's exactly what you have in the Raptors. Let me give you this. The Raptors this season went 22 and 6, 22 wins against teams that are not even in the playoffs at all, not playing, nothing. And then against the top 4 seeds in each conference, they went 5 and 22. This is a team that I think they got into a 5 seed, but is probably more like an 8 seed. But they're a 5, and they're going to go up against the Cavaliers, who, man, the Cavaliers have huge potential this season because they have not had a lot of minutes at all where all their guys are fully healthy. You haven't seen many games with Harden, Mitchell, Allen, and Mobley all on the floor at the same time. That's 4 all-stars, basically. With all 4 guys on the floor at the same time, that is an incredibly dangerous team in the East, which is wide open. So I think for a 4-5, this is actually a super lopsided series, and I wouldn't be surprised if it's over in like 5 games. You don't have much to go off of on this current Cleveland lineup, which is now healthy. Harden is just, I mean, he's just a phenomenal scorer. They've got so many guys that can score. They've got good rim protection. This is going to be really tough for Toronto, in my opinion. I don't see how they keep up offensively, and I just think, like I said, this is kind of one of those teams that has benefited from the tanking situation where they beat up a lot of bad teams. Now they're going to come into the playoffs. I think the level of competition is going to be way too high for them. So the game one opened at Cleveland -7. I wasn't surprised at all to see it immediately jump to, I think, 8s you're seeing now. I'd have to check where it is now. I don't have a play on it as of right now, but I would strongly, strongly lean to Cleveland. Maybe like a Cavs first half, even in that game. Yeah, right now it's pretty much 8, and you're starting to see 8.5s pop up. So not surprising to me at all. I think Cleveland runs away with that series. That's the second series in the East. Over to the West, just briefly, because I don't have too much of a strong opinion on these. I can give you where my numbers are at, but Nuggets, Timberwolves, this is the 3rd time in the last 4 seasons that these teams are going to face each other. This is kind of like a rivalry now between, Edwards and Jokic and all those guys. So obviously the Wolves, to me, are the story in this series, even though the Nuggets are the 3 seed, because Minnesota's trying to get to their 3rd straight Western Conference Finals, which is very tough to do. And one of the reasons why I don't think they will do that, I don't think they'll get out of the series, is the last 2 years that they've been able to get there have been on super high intensity defense in the playoffs, and it's been on majority staying healthy, everyone just being healthy, and they don't have that this year. The defense is not as good. The offense can still put up points, and they've got a couple of young players emerging now, but Anthony Edwards, I know he looked fine in his last game, but he's still dealing with a nagging knee injury going into the playoffs. Jaden McDaniels dealing with nagging injury going into the playoffs. That's 2 huge guys that, if they're not 100%, could hurt you in a playoff atmosphere. And the Nuggets, they're rolling. Listen, I don't love, like I said earlier, I don't love going to those teams that are red hot and coming to the playoffs, but it's a little bit different when you got the best player in basketball on your team. Maybe it's not that fluky. They won 9 straight to end the season. They're coming in basically peaking at the right time, so to speak. So I could see this being like Nuggets in 6. Now I will say the spread on game 1, because remember, we're talking series, but we're also talking individual games that we're going to bet on. The spread in game 1 I thought was a little high at 7, and you're now seeing 6.5 and 6. So I would actually lean Wolves against the spread in game 1, and wouldn't surprise me if they even got the outright win. But I think as the series goes along, the injuries will catch up with them. The amount, just it's so difficult to beat the same team over and over and get to the same spot over and over every year, try to get over the hump. It's incredibly difficult. So I think Nuggets win the series, but I actually would lean Wolves in game 1. Wouldn't be surprised if they stole it and the Nuggets like even it up and then go back to Minnesota and then do take care of business there. But this is one of those series where I do think it'll be competitive. Don't get me wrong, but I think the Nuggets will eventually wear them down and move on. Lakers Rockets is again just about injuries. The West is all about injuries. It's just so unfortunate what happened with the Lakers. They were having such a great season. They looked so dangerous on paper. Doncic and Reeves made up a phenomenal backcourt, and now you lose both guys. It's just very unfortunate. Very fat chance that they could maybe come back late in this series if LeBron and company could find a way to get a couple of games. But even then, you're talking about not 100%. You're talking about potentially coming back and risking a bigger injury than what those two guys have already. So just a horrific situation to be in for the Lakers, who would have, I would think they would have won this series and could have made a deep run with LeBron not having to be the guy. But it's just going to be really tough now. I mean, the Rockets are not the Rockets that they had last year that took the Warriors to 7 games and lost in the first round. They've now got Durant. They've got a number one scoring option, a guy to get buckets for them late in the game. They're still very good defensively. I think they're really well coached. They're a 5.5 point favorite on the road. Do I love that? Not really. My number is 4 on the game, so I actually don't don't even I wouldn't bet Houston, but I do think they'll win the series. And I think the series is gonna unfortunately be over quickly. I think the Lakers get a game maybe. Maybe they get one game in this series. It's just gonna be too much to overcome. LeBron at his age, he's unbelievable, but he can't do this at his age. He cannot lead you to at least I don't think he can. I mean, listen, if he does it, just add another notch on his belt. He's the GOAT in my opinion, and if he does something like this, it just will further add to that case. But I don't think it's going to be enough. I think the Rockets will advance in that series. All right. So the biggest takeaways from this video, because I will do a follow-up video once we have all the matchups set, and I'll talk about maybe some futures because I do have a couple teams that I'm eyeing for maybe some futures in each conference. We'll talk that. I'll come back and talk player props as well for each series, so that'll be interesting. But the biggest takeaways: play-in games, first half unders, full game unders are a very, very strong trend. Underdogs in general. I'm gonna do a separate video, guys. So make sure you like, subscribe, put on the bell for notifications because I'm gonna do a separate video about the first round trends once we have all the matchups set up. Like, for example, if a home team drops game 1, how do they do in game 2? It's north of 60%. I can tell you that. Spoiler alert. If a team is on the road in games 1 and 2, they lose both. They go home for game 3, so they're down 0-2 in game 3. That's usually a really strong spot as well. So I'm going to go over all those the situational type stuff in a separate video. So let me know what you guys think down below. What do you have for the play-in games? Who do you think advances? If I had to guess, I'm going to go dogs tonight and favorites tomorrow. So I'm going to say the Heat advance, the Blazers advance, and I'm going to say the Sixers and Clippers get those games tomorrow. So we'll see what ends up happening. But thank you guys for watching. I'll catch you on the next one.